Hi, my name is Ryan Connor with R&R Connor Inc. Some of you might recognize me from the History Channel's Axeman series. I'd like to take the next few minutes to take you on a tour to show you something that very few people have ever seen. This is the rest of the story. Basically what we're looking at here is the edge of the 2000 burn. You can look out ahead of us there and you can see that it goes on for a long ways. There's about 300,000 acres of this that burnt in 2000. We can fly around for hours and see the same scenario here. A lot of people don't know this is out here. And once again, this is all one fire of 2000. What we're looking at doing with R&R Connor is we want to go into these areas in the old burn. We want to pull out individual trees that still have value. My philosophy on it is one tree out of there is one less tree that's going to burn up, and it has value, and we need that to put people back to work. So let's do it. I mean, there's billions of board feet out here, literally, that's dead, that could go to market, be utilized for something. Anyways, this hillside right here in front of us, we could pick the logs up here with the helicopter and fly them directly over across the canyon to the road, and then we would put them on a truck at the road and take them to the log yard where they would be merchandised and cut into house logs or beam logs and sold to the customer. We can log from the existing road systems that we have and not ever have to build another road out here if we do it with a helicopter. If you look off to your left on the other side there was some stuff that had been logged before the fires. Probably I would say 30, 40 years ago. When the fire hit this, it went back to the ground and it just became a ground fire, more typical to what the fires used to be before we started interfering with Mother Nature's fire patterns. And then you got over here where you got an overgrowth of trees on this north-facing slope, and that had never been logged, so you basically got all this dead timber in there. If you look straight ahead here, what you're seeing is what the stuff that we're logging off of the Middle East Fork project. It is bug-hit timber hit with a Douglas fir bark beetle. The little beetle that gets in and it girdles the tree and kills and starves the tree out to where it dies. There's hundreds, probably 100,000 acres of that on this forest that we could go in and treat with the helicopter and go in and pick out individual trees and fly them to a log landing. And by doing that, we'd be cleaning up the forest or reducing the risk of a wildfire. Pretty much everywhere we fly back in here, you'll have this beetle hit Doug fir. On all the edges of the fire, where the fire burnt 2000, there'll be the beetles started in the burned areas and they moved their way out into the green timber. We've cut what we're going to cut in this particular unit. Everything that you see that's dead is going to get left. So everything's cut, and this is what it'll look like. You know, when we're done, you'll have trees that'll mimic what Mother Nature used to do with wildfire. We left all the mature trees, and it'll allow these trees to grow and not be competing with other trees. The Forest Service will go through here and they'll do a burn, and they'll burn all the stuff that's left on the ground and put the nutrients right back into the soil. More this particular unit was done for the elk habitat. This is one of the units that the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation really pushed for, because this is a critical area in here for the elk calving. You get a good view of it from here. It'll show it opened up the stand, allowed for better grazing for the elk and also reduced the risk of a wildfire. And when I turn around here, you're going to see what it looks like when they don't log it. So here you got, if you look straight ahead, you got an example of an area that hasn't been logged. You still have all the dead trees sticking up in there. When a lightning storm comes through here, all these dead top trees here are just, they're kindling for a fire to get started is what they are. It's seasoned firewood is what it is. It's perfect firewood, and it's you know, when it falls down on the ground here and the fire gets in it, it's hard to put it out. And if it burns too hot, you get too big a buildup of it on the forest floor. It burns so hot it actually sterilizes the ground, and that's how your meadows are created. There's a beautiful drainage back in here, surrounded by state and Forest Service. But this was all state stuff over here that was harvested after the burn. They went in and took all the dead stuff out. Got the fuel out of the forest while it still had value. So now we're going to get up here, we're going to be back in Forest Service. You can see the difference now where you got all the trees on the ground. Right here. I mean, it's night and day. This is state right here below us, and there's Forest Service above it. The Forest Service is handicapped by the special interest groups that don't want any commercial logging at all. I guess the big key to that is commercial. They don't think anything's commercially should be done on national forests. So, you know, they through some of the environmental laws that have been put in place, the Endangered Species Act is a big one, hurdle for them to get through. Stream setbacks and all those issues that have been implemented over the last 30 years, you know, that were actually put into place for a good reason, they're now the hobbles that are keeping the Forest Service from being able to do their job. The state operates under a whole different set of regulations, so they're able to get right in and manage their forests. This is a good example here of what a forest looks like if it has been managed prior to the fire, and a forest that has never been managed at all. The stuff that we're looking at with all the fuel on the ground here is federal land. The U.S. Forest Service owns this, or we own it, I guess. Just on the other side is private ground that was logged before the fire back in the 80s, and they thinned it out, did a really good job of selecting good, you know, trees to leave. And when the fire hit this, it went to the ground, and it was just a ground fire. All it did was clean the fuel up off the ground. So if I turn around here, you'll get a look at the difference between the Forest Service and the private ground that was managed. This is Forest Service ground right straight ahead of us, and there's a fence right there that separates it. All this fuel on the ground here, this has never been managed. You know, if they had done the same prescription as done on the private ground, you would have the same results as what's on the private ground. We got hundreds of thousands of acres, just like what we're looking at here. We're now going to take you down on the ground to introduce you to our consulting forester, Pat Cannell, and he's going to give you the ground tour, and you'll be able to see the difference of what good forest management is versus no management.